Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Doctor's Corner. Today we are going to discuss one of the very important concept in nervous system, that is upper motor neuron and lower motor neuron lesions. Okay, what happen when there is a damage or cut or injury to the upper motor neurons and the lower motor neurons. Okay, so before that it will be wise to know what exactly it means to be an upper motor neuron and a lower motor neuron. What is upper motor neuron and what is lower motor neuron? To make this concept more clear, I'll, before telling the definition or exactly what it means to be an upper or lower motor neuron, I'll try to draw a diagram so that I can show you what exactly these neurons are and what happens if there is a damage to these structures. Okay, so consider this. I am drawing a rough line diagram of the cerebral cortex. Okay, brain, cerebral cortex, rough line diagram of the cerebral cortex. Okay, then below the brain there is a brain stem, that is midbrain, pons and medulla. Okay, midbrain, pons and medulla. So this is midbrain, pons and medulla, and this on either side there will be cerebellum. This is cerebellum, and this will continuous as the spinal cord. Okay, so I'll just draw a cut section of the spinal cord at the cervical region. Again, a rough cut section of a spinal cord. So this spinal cord, it has dorsal part and this anterior gray horn. So this is the gray matter with a central canal. Okay, so this one is the gray matter, and this is okay. So this is continuous spinal cord. So this is the cerebral hemisphere, midbrain, pons, medulla, and this continuous spinal cord. I have just shown a rough cut section of the spinal cord. Now, again, to understand this, this is majorly it is a motor neuron. Motor neuron means one which connects the skeletal muscles. So I'll just draw a skeletal muscle to make this point more clear. A skeletal muscle, more specifically here biceps muscle. I'm going to draw a biceps muscle on either side. This is right side and this is the left side. Okay, so now the motor supply, biceps muscle, this one, the motor supply to this biceps muscle, that is the root value C5, C6. I hope everyone have done this basic practicals in clinical physiology, also in medicine, about the biceps stretch reflex, that is the biceps deep tendon reflex, which is known as a stretch reflex. So whenever you tap here on the biceps tendon, there is a contraction of this biceps muscle. So the nerve supply, that is the motor nerve supply to the biceps muscle, is mainly coming from the anterior horn cells from the spinal cord segment C5 and C6. That is the motor nerve supply. Okay, so the nerve supply is from this alpha motor neuron, okay, to this one alpha motor neuron from this anterior horn cells, that is the motor neuron which supplies this skeletal muscles. Now this neuron which arises from this anterior horn cells of the spinal cord and supplies the muscle, so this neuron, it is termed as lower motor neuron or LMN. Okay, lower motor neuron. Okay, so what is lower motor neuron? It is an efferent neuron which connect the central nervous system to the muscles in general, but it is a neuron in this from the spinal cord, it is anterior horn cells. Okay, not only this, in the upper segments of the brain and the spinal cord, more specifically again in the brain stem, you know, there are certain nuclei, cranial nerve nuclei of motor nuclei, like cranial nerve nuclei 3, cranial nerve nuclei 4, 6 and 7th. okay, fifth, and this one the cranial nerve nuclei 12th, which supplies the muscles of the tongue, and also the 9th, 10th, 11th, which supplies the pharynx and all. So these cranial nerve nuclei which are mainly present in the brainstem, that is the midbrain, pons and the medulla. So these motor nuclei also gives nerve, that is the cranial nerves. For example, 12th cranial nerve nuclei will give the 12th cranial nerve, okay. Then vagus nerve, that is the 10th cranial nerve. So this cranial nerve nuclei, that is the motor cranial nerve nuclei, and the neurons, that is the cranial nerve neurons, motor neurons. So these also constitute the lower motor neurons. So what are lower motor neurons? Lower motor neurons are the neurons originating from the anterior horn cells of the spinal cord, also from the cranial neurons originating from the cranial nerve nuclei. So these are known as lower motor neuron. Hope the concept is clear. Now coming to the upper motor neuron. What are these upper motor neuron? So these lower motor neurons are under the control of the cerebral cortex, that is the higher sentence, that is the brain and the higher level of the brainstem. So these neurons which control this lower motor neurons or upper motor neuron, for example, corticospinal tract, for example, from this left side, so from this cerebral cortex, this corticospinal tract, they originate and descend down, and at the level of the medulla they will decussate to the opposite side and 80% of the fibers, and it will supply and it will control this lower motor neuron. So this neurons, that is from the corticospinal tract, are upper motor neurons, okay. Similarly on the other side also you have this corticospinal tract, that is again they will descend, and this bundle of the nerve axons, that is the descending tract, corticospinal tract, the level of the medulla, they decussate, that is 80% of the fibers, okay, as the lateral corticospinal tract, and they influence this lower motor neurons. Similarly, we have corticobulbar tract. This is corticospinal tract, corticobulbar tract, that will again influence these neurons, cranial nerve nuclei, and other extrapyramidal tracts, right, which starting from the red nuclei, that is the rubrospinal tract, tectospinal tract, okay, olivospinal tract, that is the extrapyramidal tracts, okay. That also comes, that the neurons of this higher descending tracts, for example corticospinal tract or corticobulbar tracts, they are known as upper motor neurons, okay. So they are known as upper motor neurons. So neurons which will control the lower motor neurons and comes from this higher center, that is the cerebral cortex, they are the upper motor neurons. Hope this is clear. Lower motor neurons which arises from the anterior horn cells of the spinal cord, and the upper motor neurons, that is the corticospinal tract neurons as well as the corticobulbar tract neurons, okay. Now I will want to show the differences between the upper motor neuron lesions and the lower motor neuron lesions. What happens when there is a damage or injury to either of this upper motor neuron and lower motor neuron? That is, what are the clinical signs and symptoms? What will happen when there is a damage or lesion means there is damage or injury to the upper motor neuron or lower motor neuron, okay. Before that, I would like to highlight here one of the stretch reflex of the biceps jerk. So see, they are from this anterior horn cells, that is alpha motor neuron originates. Also there is one more neuron which is known as gamma motor neuron. So this gamma motor neuron, if you remember, if you have studied about the muscle spindle or how this stretch reflex takes place, so this gamma motor neuron will supply the muscle spindle. So in a muscle, the main contractile part is known as the extrafusal fibers, main contractile part, extrafusal fibers. So these extrafusal fibers are supplied by this alpha motor neuron, and this junction between this alpha motor neuron and this extrafusal fibers, it is known as neuromuscular junction, okay. So if you remember, the main contractile unit of the skeletal muscles is these extrafusal fibers, so which are connected by this alpha motor neuron, that is the lower motor neuron, and there is a junction that is known as neuromuscular junction, where we have a nicotinic acetylcholine receptors. Okay, we'll discuss about that also. So now these extrafusal fibers, again in the muscle mass, not only there are extrafusal fibers, there is one more sensor which will sense the change in the length of the muscle fibers, that are known as muscle spindle. So in the muscle spindle there is intrafusal fibers. So in the muscle fibers you will see the intrafusal fibers, which are basically the sensors for change in the length of the muscle. So in the muscle we have extrafusal fibers and a sensor known as muscle spindle. So this muscle spindle is known as contains the intrafusal fibers. Okay, this muscle spindle is known as intrafusal fibers. Okay, now these intrafusal fibers and the muscle spindles is supplied by this gamma motor neuron, whereas this alpha motor neuron supplies this extrafusal fibers. Okay, so this gamma motor neuron will maintain the tone of the muscle. Gamma motor neuron maintain the tone of the muscle, and the signals from this alpha motor neuron causes the contraction of the muscle. Okay, so how a stretch reflex usually function is, so whenever there is a stretch of the tendon, then there is a stretch of this extrafusal as well as the intrafusal fibers. So from this intrafusal fibers, the message from this intrafusal fibers, these are the sensor. As I said you, muscle spindle is a sensor. We will take one more video on this muscle spindle, how the stretch reflex takes place. So these muscle spindle gets stretched and they sense the signal, that is the sensory impulse, to the spinal cord. Here in the biceps muscle we have the sensory segment is C5 and C6. Okay, so this sensory segment, it is carried through the sensory nerves, more specifically by the nerves 1A. Okay, so these sensory nerve again they relay here and they send with the help of the this is a stretch reflex, is a monosynaptic reflex. So they will relay here they have a synaptic connection and they send the signal to this alpha motor neuron, so that there is a contraction of the extrafusal fibers. Okay, and there is a release of the neurotransmitter also. This is a simple diagram of a stretch reflex. So any reflex, it has a 5 component. As you remember, a reflex arc, it has a receptors. Okay, so these receptors are the muscle spindle. So whenever because of the stretch, it will senses that, and that again the sensory nerves. Then center is the spinal cord segment C5 and C6, and the efferent nerve is this alpha motor neuron, and the obviously the effector organ is this muscle. Okay, the muscle fibers, and it will contract. So this is how a biceps jerks will occur. So when we do a bicep jerk, if it is functioning normally, what does it indicate? That is, this muscle spindle is functioning properly, and also the sensory nerve root is proper, and the spinal cord segment is also normal, fully functioning, and the alpha motor neuron, it is the efferent neuron, is also functioning. Okay, this is how the signals is transmitted from the sensory and finally through the motor end. Okay, now so this is how stretch reflex takes place. So now what happens if there is a damage, or injury to this alpha or gamma motor neurons, that is known as lower motor neuron lesions, or if there is damage to any of this pathway of the corticospinal tract, for example upper motor neuron. So the damage or injury to this upper motor neurons is known as upper motor neuron lesions, and damage to this nerves that is motor nerve which are supplying the muscle, that is the lower motor neuron which is originating from this anterior horn cell. So what happens if there is a injury to this lower motor neuron and the upper motor neuron? Okay, so we'll discuss one by one. So first, what will happen to the mass of the muscle mass? So what happened to the muscle mass? First point, muscle mass in the lower motor neuron as well as in the upper motor neuron. What happened to the muscle mass? So as you can see, whenever there is a disruption, first we'll come to lower motor neuron, there is a lesion in the lower motor neuron. Okay, now due to this denervation to the muscle, denervation of the muscle, so this there is a denervation atrophy, so the muscle mass decreases. Okay, so the muscle mass decreases in the lower motor neuron lesions due to denervation injury, and around 80% of the muscle mass is decreased, that is the muscle mass is decreased. Okay, due to the denervation injury also there is a disuse atrophy, and ultimately the size of the muscle, that is muscle mass, is decreased in lower motor neuron lesions. What happens to this upper motor neuron lesions? So if you can see, the lesion is in the upper side of the nervous system, in the upper motor neuron, it is the corticospinal tract. So the stretch reflex remains here intact, remains intact, it is alpha motor neuron and the gamma motor neurons are remaining intact. So there is no denervation injury. So but the disuse atrophy will be there, a slight loss of the mass will be there, but no significant loss of the muscle mass will be there. Just around 15 to 20% of the muscle mass is decreased, but there is a significant muscle mass is decreased in the lower motor neuron lesion, whereas in the upper motor neuron lesion muscle mass is decreased as compared to the normal due to the disuse atrophy, but not due to the denervation atrophy. But however, it is not as severe as that of the lower motor neuron lesions. Okay, that is the muscle mass. Then comes to the power of the muscle, power or strength of the muscle. So as you can see that there is the nerve supply to the muscle is damaged. Okay, so the muscle power is again here drastically it is decreased. So the muscle power or strength is drastically decreased in the lower motor neuron lesions. Here on the other hand, this reflex pathway is maintained in the upper motor neuron lesions, and the muscle strength due to the disuse atrophy, it is a bit decreased, but not as that of lower motor neuron lesion. Okay, lower motor neuron lesion. So in fact there is a paralysis of this muscle, and that type of paralysis, it is in the lower motor neuron, it is called as flaccid paralysis. Due to disuse atrophy and denervation atrophy, the muscle mass and tone gets decreased, because the gamma motor neuron which maintains the tone, that is also injured in lower motor neuron injury. So there will be flaccid paralysis. Okay, so we are giving a classical example of a biceps muscle. On one side, right side, upper motor neuron lesions of the biceps muscle, that is this part is affected, and on the left side, lower motor neuron is affected. Okay, so again I will draw that sensory. Also from this, sensory impulses comes through the spinal cord, and that will through the 1A fibers through, and the alpha motor neuron and the gamma motor neuron which maintains the tone. So in the lower motor neuron there is a flaccid paralysis, whereas here in the upper motor neuron lesion there will be spastic paralysis. What do you mean by spastic paralysis again? So as you know, in the upper motor neuron lesions, this reflex pathway is maintained, that is this reflex pathway is maintained, and these upper motor neurons, they will control, they have inhibitory influence on this alpha and gamma motor neuron. They have inhibitory influence on this alpha motor neuron as well as on the gamma motor neurons. So when this inhibitory influences of the alpha and gamma motor neuron is abolished due to the damage or the lesion of this upper motor neuron, what happens is this will fire more. So this gamma motor neuron will fire and there is the muscle tone is increased. Okay, the muscle tone is increased and there is a spastic type of paralysis, whereas in the lower motor neuron lesions, the gamma motor neuron itself and this alpha motor neurons, so these motor neurons are damaged in that lesion and the muscle tone is decreased. So the muscle tone is decreased in the, and there is a flaccid paralysis. So the muscle tone is decreased in the lower motor neuron lesions, whereas the muscle tone is not much affected here, because, or in fact it is increased because of the more discharge of the, because the inhibitory influence is lost. So in fact it will increase and causes the spastic type of paralysis. Okay, spastic type of paralysis. Okay, now this spastic type of paralysis here, it leads to rigidity, that is the clasp knife type of rigidity. Now we have to understand what is this clasp knife of rigidity, typically seen in the upper motor neuron lesions. So as we have already discussed, the muscle tone will get increased and there is spastic paralysis because the inhibitory influences of the corticospinal tract on the alpha and the gamma motor neurons are abolished. So there is a more action potential generated here and the muscle tone gets increased. Okay, now so muscle tones are increased as when we check for the tone, suppose in this biceps muscle only. So initially there will be a greater resistance because of the increased muscle tone, but after some time there is a decrease in the resistance suddenly and the resistance will go off, as if we are opening a clasp knife. If you have seen a clasp knife in old movies, villain used to use that clasp knife. So when they open it, initially they find it difficult to open. Okay, resistance offered will be more, but suddenly that after some time the resistance is decreased. Okay, and it will get opened very easily. So such type of rigidity is seen due to the spastic paralysis, and classically it is known as clasp knife rigidity. So what is this clasp knife rigidity and why it happens? Why there is a sudden is, again it is due to the presence of this Golgi tendon organs. If you remember, in the tendons there is one more structure known as Golgi tendon organs. Okay, Golgi tendon organs. So Golgi tendon organs are basically the sensors for the tension in the muscle, whereas the muscle spindle will sense the change in the length in the muscle, whereas these sensors in the Golgi tendon organ will detect the tension. Okay, so when there is increase in the tension in the muscle, again the message through this Golgi tendon organ, thus through the sensory nerves, are again goes to the spinal cord and they will inhibit this gamma motor neuron so that the muscle tone is reduced. Okay, so what happens is initially due to the presence of the stretch reflex, there is increase in the tone in the upper motor neuron lesion, and due to the increased firing of this gamma motor neuron, the muscle tone gets increased, and when it is increased much, then further increase in the tone causes the increased stimulation of the Golgi tendon organ. So these Golgi tendon organ again send the impulses here and causes inhibition of the discharge from this gamma motor neuron so that the muscle tone decreases, which leads to the clasp knife type of rigidity seen. That is, initially there is resistance and after that it is the resistance goes because of this stimulation of this Golgi tendon organ. Okay, so this is spastic type of paralysis we seen in upper motor neuron lesion and flaccid type of paralysis and the lower motor neuron lesions. Now the fifth point here, the differences here is about the reflexes. What happens to the deep tendon reflexes or the stretch reflexes? in the lower motor neuron and the upper motor neuron lesions. So as you can see here, the efferent pathway of the reflex is here. There is a lesion in the efferent pathway of, that is the motor alpha motor neuron and gamma motor neuron. So that's why the deep reflexes are absent here. Deep reflexes or the stretch reflexes are absent in case of the lower motor neuron lesion. But what happens here in the upper motor neuron lesion, you can see the reflex arc is still maintained because the lesion is at the higher side, and in fact there is increased tone because the inhibitory influence of this corticospinal tract on this alpha motor neuron and gamma motor neuron is abolished. So there is increased firing from these neurons and the muscle tone gets increases. So whenever we try to elicit a reflex in case of upper motor neuron lesion, so the stretch reflex will be exaggerated. Instead of getting absent as care of in this one, it will be exaggerated because of the increased signals here already, because of the inhibitory influence is lost from the corticospinal tract. Okay, so the deep tendon reflexes are exaggerated, whereas superficial reflexes are lost both in the lower motor neuron and the upper motor neuron lesion. Superficial reflexes are polysynaptic reflexes, so they will ascend to the higher up and many synapses will be there. So in the lower motor neuron lesions as well as in the upper motor neuron lesions, these are abolished, that is absent in both the cases, whereas it is absent in lower motor neuron lesions and exaggerated in the upper motor neuron lesions. Then muscle fasciculations are seen in muscle fasciculations is present in case of lower motor neuron region lesions, whereas it is muscle fasciculations are absent in case of upper motor neuron lesions. Now what is muscle fasciculations? Okay, so it is actually pathological condition. So whenever you tap a muscle, so pathologically the muscle will contract sometimes. So that condition is known as muscle fasciculations, and when we record this fasciculation on a EMG or electromyogram, that electrical record is known as fibrillation. So muscle fibrillations and fasciculations are positive in lower motor neuron lesions. Why so? As you can see, whenever there is an injury to this efferent pathway of the lower motor neuron, so what happens is, this one at the neuromuscular junction, that is the alpha motor neuron is connected to this extrafusal fibers by the neuromuscular junction, and there are nicotinic muscarinic receptors at the neuromuscular junctions. Okay, so these nicotinic receptors are linked with cationic channels, that is sodium ions will enter this muscle fibers whenever they are stimulated, whenever the neurotransmitter acetylcholine comes and combines with this nicotinic receptors. Okay, now these receptors are generally confined to at the neuromuscular junction. Okay, but whenever there is a damage to this lower motor neuron, that is this alpha motor neuron, there is no release of the acetylcholine, and these nicotinic receptors are generally not stimulated, and this muscles there is no entry of the sodium ions, and because of that no loss of the acetylcholine, and there is no much stimulation of the muscle, there is upregulation of the nicotinic receptor, acetylcholine receptor. It is more receptors are now they are synthesized, more receptors are synthesized as a compensatory mechanism, that is upregulation takes place. So whenever a slight stimulation is given to the muscle, so there is these receptors are coupled with or associated with the sodium channels, so the sodium ions enter inside this, and it leads to the further process of muscle contraction, and you see that twitches or the muscle contraction, that is the fasciculation. So in lower motor neuron lesions, because of the upregulation of the acetylcholine receptors, fasciculation such things are not seen in upper motor neuron lesions, because the lesion is at the higher side, and here the adequate amount of the acetylcholine is released, there is no upregulation of the acetylcholine receptors. So that's why the muscle fasciculations are not seen in upper motor neuron lesions. Now finally, one very important sign about the Babinski sign. We are going to discuss about the Babinski sign. What happens in case of the upper motor neuron lesions and lower motor neuron lesion, that is the Babinski sign. So generally we test this Babinski sign on the lower limb, that is on the sole or the foot. Okay, consider this as a sole of a lower limb. So generally in a normal person, if we stroke the outer end of the sole, okay, outer end, okay, from this lateral side to the medial side, okay, with a blunt object, that is with the point with the end of the knee hammer, or by using a simple key, any blunt object, and if we stroke it on the lateral side and take it on the medial side, so generally the normal response is plantar flexion. Okay, normal response is plantar flexion. But usually in infant it is less than 1 year old, if we do the same reflex, there is a dorsiflexion or the withdrawal is seen. Why withdrawal is seen is, so generally in infants, the local stretch reflex, that is usually the withdrawal reflex. So what happens is, whenever you stimulate something on this one, on the sole, then there is a dorsiflexion takes place. Okay, dorsiflexion takes place. But when the infant after 1 year of old, there is a development of this corticospinal tract. Now they will inhibit this withdrawal reflexes here. Why means because they will start walking. So when they start walking, what happens is, if suppose, just imagine when they start walking and there is a dorsiflexion, that is when they touch the ground and there is a dorsiflexion, then it can't walk. So they have an inhibitory influence on this withdrawal reflex, and instead of that, due to this corticospinal tract, that is when they get developed, there will be a plantar flexion, so that the sole should touch the ground, have a grip on the ground. Okay, so normal response in an adult is, whenever you do a stroke or stimulate this sole, then it will have a plantar flexion, so that it should hold the ground. Okay, so now what happens if you do this in upper motor neuron lesions or in infants? So when you do this, there is a dorsiflexion seen, because this inhibitory influence of the upper motor neurons or the corticospinal tract is lost, and there is a dorsiflexion of this great toe, and the fanning of the other toes is seen, that is on this side. Okay, similar to the infant. So that type of lesion, it is known as Babinski sign positive. So Babinski sign is positive or present in upper motor neuron lesions, whereas in the lower motor neuron lesions, okay, in the lower motor neuron lesions, we don't see that Babinski sign, because only this one. However, if this lower motor neuron lesions of the this one near the ankle, where exactly the stretch is affecting, then we can see that thing. But the classical thing of Babinski sign is seen in the upper motor neuron lesions, because the influence of inhibiting that is lost, and there is a dorsiflexion of this thing instead of the normal plantar flexion. Okay, so that's all in the today's lecture of the differences between the upper motor neuron and lower motor neuron lesion. Just to summarize finally, what happens in upper motor neuron lesions and lower motor neuron lesion? So the muscle mass drastically decreased in case of the lower motor neuron lesion, whereas there is a slight decrease in the muscle mass. Muscle power is decreased drastically in lower motor neuron lesion, where there is a slight decrease in the muscle power. There is a flaccid type of paralysis. Here there is a spastic type of paralysis. One more thing I want to add here, group of muscles. So in lower motor neuron lesion, only a single muscle is affected, whereas in upper motor neuron lesions, group of muscles are affected. Okay, like quadriplegia, paraplegia, one-sided. Okay, so this one, there will be group of muscles are affected in case of the upper motor neuron lesions. Only a single muscle is affected in case of lower muscle fiber, lower motor neuron lesion, and the muscle tone is drastically reduced here. Here muscle tone is increased, okay, and the superficial reflexes are lost in both the upper motor and lower motor neuron lesions, whereas the deep tendon reflexes or the stretch reflexes are absent in case of lower motor neuron lesion, whereas exaggerated in the upper motor neuron lesion. Fasciculations are present in the lower motor neuron lesions, whereas absent in the upper motor neuron lesions, and the Babinski sign is positive in the upper motor neuron lesions. Okay, so I hope you understood this concept. Please share this video and like and comment to our video. Okay, thank you, take care.